Oh, right. The fingers did go. Okay. Sure, I noticed them went. I mean, at least she can still hold a bow, I guess. Hey, Dina, we're home. Also surprised she didn't get infection from the fingers being lost. You know? She's left. Didn't wait for Ellie to even come back. Yeah, well, just wanted to have a look. Literally nothing around. No notes? Nothing? Can you look at yourself in the mirror, Ellie? Didn't even take all the bedding with them. Oh, but Ellie's room's still here. She can't play the guitar as well as she used to. I don't even know how many fingers you need to use on your left hand when you're playing guitar. And of course, the notes don't play properly. Do we have credits? Not yet. Gotta have one more heartfelt moment with Joel.
What are you drinking?
Coffee.
Where'd you get that?
Those people that came through last week.
Oh.
A little embarrassed as to what I had to trade to get it, but it's not bad.
I had Seth under control.
Yeah, I know.
And you need to stop harassing Jesse about my patrols.
Just being your dad, Ellie.
Okay. Dina. she your girlfriend?
It's complicated.
No, that was just one kiss. It doesn't mean anything. She just, I don't know why she did that.
But you do like her.
So stupid.
I have no idea what that girl's intentions are, but I do know that she would be lucky to have you.
You're such an asshole.
That's a bit uncalled for.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
Yeah, because you're your father, of course. No one would willingly give up their child like that.
The Lord gave me a second chance at that moment. I would do it all over again.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
He's your dad who doesn't expect you to.
I like that.
Okay. I'll see you around.
Yep.
And she leaves behind the guitar. I guess to make her own way in the world? Oh, that's nice. Being able to see her walk off in the distance. But yeah, like, where does she go? Does she try going back to Jackson with Dina, or...? Well, there we go. I think we have now officially hit the end credits for the game. Yeah, okay. So, what do I think of this game? I think there is no question that this is one of the games of the year, right? So it's an astounding achievement because of the, you know, the technical artistry, the animation work. Obviously, the acting performances are well done by the actors and actresses. I like the gameplay. You know, it's one of those things where it hits a certain part of your brain. It's like, ooh, I get to scavenge and, you know, find all these different items and learn about the world I'm exploring. And you take it all at your own pace. And I imagine that I took it at a very slow pace at some times. I hope that Ellie never comes back. Enough is enough. Well, I have a feeling that obviously this game is The Last of Us Part 2. I think a game where you focus on Abby as The Last of Us Part 3 or The Last of Us the final part, whatever it may be, would be the way to go. I kind of think that's what should have happened with this game, though. I think this game would have been more interesting if you played as Abby from Seattle day 1, day 2, day 3, a whole new character, and then at the end of day 3, you find Joel, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you obviously do what happens to Joel, because of course it has to happen, right? And then Ellie is a surprise, because obviously, you know Ellie and Joel are connected, and Ellie comes in along the way. Obviously, you get the explanation for why Abby does what she does, you know, some way during the portion where you play as Abby, right? But yeah, I think that would have made it more interesting, because let's be honest, Abby's story is more interesting than Ellie's is. Ellie's is just, Abby killed my dad, I'm going to follow her wherever she goes, and then not take my revenge? But yeah, I think if you've played as Abby, and, you know, progressed through the story, and then turn to Ellie, because that's another thing, is they could have played it so that you have an entirely new game in this universe, where, you know, the bloaters and the infected all come in. You might have to switch around, like, the big boss fight at the end of Abby's portion of the game, because it wouldn't make sense to have your massive big boss fight in the middle. I guess if it's at the high point, I don't know. But imagine if you had it as a surprise that Ellie returned. Obviously, it's The Last of Us, so people kind of expect Ellie to be in it. But you could have renamed it something rather than The Last of Us Part 2. It could have been The Last of Us, I don't know, The Other Side. I don't know what you'd call it, but I think it would have been more interesting if you'd switched it the other way around. And as well as that, while I'm being an armchair game designer, game developer, the story's kind of nothing. The conflict between Isaac and the Seraphites and the WLF is all good, and Abby's a part of that. Ellie's stuff is kind of like just there, you know? It's partly trying to find out who the mystery of who Abby is and why did she do that to Joel. But at the same time, it's like you go through Owen, you go through Mel, you go through Nora, you go through the girl playing the Vita. It's like... there's nothing to it, you know? The story, there isn't a story. There's no plot line. Ellie doesn't even have a real boss to fight with. She's got a few bloater fights, but not big boss fights in terms of hand-to-hand melee other than Abby right at the end. And, yeah, the big infected that's like incubating in the hospital that Abby fights off, and it splits apart from each other, is really cool. But I do think that only Abby could be the one to deal with that because, well, you know, it's a game. You can do it however you want. Isaac only dies within 2 scenes. I expected he would be a boss. I don't know. I don't think I expected Isaac to be a boss. I expected him to have a confrontation, but, like, I wasn't too surprised at how he went. I was surprised about who did it, but Isaac getting taken out in a cutscene, you know, was fairly, you know, standard for what I thought it would be. Yeah, what else? You know, like I mentioned it before, but the graphics are amazing, the animation works great. I mentioned it right at the start of the playthrough, but the fact that they spend so much time trying to be realistic and rendering things in great detail, and then you had, like, weird glitches where you have the cable physics going through a window when the window's not broken. You have paintings that move on the floor by themselves. I assume because it, you know, got smashed on the floor, but like the movement just kept going and going and going. You have Ellie carrying baby Lev, and Lev just kind of teleports from one place back to where you went before. But, you know, it's like, that's part of quality assurance. Making sure those things go the way they're supposed to. And yeah, like I said, I like the gameplay loop. It can't be denied this is a slow-paced game. Like, if there were more sequences where, you know, you're riding on the horse with Abby and Lev and you're shooting at people, or you're driving in the car with Jesse and Ellie and you're fighting off people and infected at the same time, if there were more, like, action-packed sequences like that, I think it would be a more dramatic game, and it would probably entice people in a bit more. Whereas the core game loop here is slow, steady, sneaky, exploring, finding all the different, you know, collectibles and resources, and basically trying to, you know, plan your way through the game. Sincere thanks from all the dogs to Bruce Straley for his instrumental role in the development of The Last of Us and his years of contribution to all of Naughty Dog's successes. Yeah. And of course, here's all the expensive voice actors. Trailers always tell the player you can control Joel's bits, and finally you are cheated. I don't know. I don't think they ever did, like, show off Joel being playable. I mean, they probably did it briefly because Joel and Abby meet up. But yeah, I guess it could be slightly misleading about that. But again, that's why I think they should have played it the other way. They should have made it so that it featured Abby and Isaac and the WLF and Lev and Yara and all of that stuff. And then Joel and Ellie are a surprise in it. But I don't know, maybe they thought that making Ellie and Joel, basically Ellie, like a central feature of the game would bring people in from the first one. But, you know, I think the stats of the sales show that wasn't the case, you know? Most players who played The Last of Us Part 2 didn't play The Last of Us Part 1 or The Last of Us Remastered on PlayStation 4. So they're kind of jumping into a story that's already half been told. And they have kind of a situation where they recap it with, you know, they explain who Abby is and who her dad is, why that matters, and you have Joel talking to Marlene trying to escape from the hospital in the first place. But, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, like I said, it's definitely one of the games of the year. I'm not entirely sure why this couldn't have come out 6 months ago. Obviously, they have lots of invisible work in terms of like quality assurance and testing and all sorts of different things, but like they delayed it from February, Valentine's Day, to May, and then they delayed it from May to June. And I think it has to be said, I do think the fact that the story leaked out from The Last of Us Part 2 did play a factor into that. Like, there are a lot of people unhappy at the leaks in terms of the story, and people read the leaks and were like, oh my god, this story is awful, what are they thinking, right? But at the same time, they were thinking about the people who made this game. They were saying, we don't want to return to The Last of Us until we have an interesting story to tell. And they did, but it wasn't Ellie's. The writer wanted to change the whole story, and that would have taken 6 months. I don't think 6 months is long enough for them to change the whole story. Like, at that point, the game's almost done. You've already had all your voice actors come in to do all the motion capture work. Your storyboarders, your narrative designers have already laid out the plot and how it will structure. Alright, you might be able to rearrange the levels, because with the way this works, you have Seattle days 1 to 3 from both Abby and Ellie, so you can mix those around. But otherwise, the story is already done, you know? Because you have to think about it. The Last of Us came out in 2013. The Last of Us Remastered came out in 2014. Uncharted Lost Legacy came out in 2015, I think. So let's assume that people were working on this from The Last of Us Remastered. That's 6 years. Let's say they moved from Uncharted to this. Oh no, Uncharted 4 came out in 2015. So Lost Legacy came out in 2016. So this has been in development for a minimum of 3 years. And the story was probably going to be one of the first things they, you know, settle on, basically. I will be interested to actually go back myself and read through the different threads of when the story was leaked and what people made of it at the time. Because one of the benefits of playing games slowly like this is that you don't fall into the hype. You know, that's another thing I need to, like, comment on. This is a very good video game. It is not the Schindler's List of video games. And the person who thought that, never mind spoke it in a public forum, is a moron. Like, there's parts where you learn the names of the dogs, like Alice and Bear and so on. And that's done to kind of tug at your heartstrings to be like, oh, don't you feel bad for killing these dogs? You know, these were dogs with names and families and so on. It's like, well, no, because we had no attachment to them when we did that. And, like, you're trying to make you feel bad after the fact. It's like, well, I mean, I'm not a dog person anyway, and some people are. Well, they would have found it hard to kill a dog just because it's a dog. Never mind because there's a connection there. There are several writers in The Last of Us 1. The idea of Neil is banned. That's why The Last of Us 1 becomes a great game. In The Last of Us 2, all the old men are gone. 70% of the staff are fired or gone. No one can hinder Neil and finally rewrite the story of revenge. I can see that. Like, I know Neil Druckmann has been very vocal in being proud of his achievement, but he's also been very overprotective and overzealous in defending it as well. Like, there's been a few arguments from journalists doing reviews of The Last of Us, and Neil and other people at Naughty Dog have been like, why are you reviewing this in this way? That's overly harsh and critical. And, you know, there are other aspects at play, such as Naughty Dog are notorious for crunching their employees. Like, this game, having been delayed twice, chances are it was in crunch for at least a few months, if not the 6 months it got delayed from February to June. So, yeah, it kind of smacks of them not wanting to take, like, any exception to the criticism of their game. And it makes no sense because it's a massively successful game with massive critical success. It's like, just because there are a few dissenting opinions doesn't really, you know, detract from what you've achieved. Alright, it's not like the million bestseller ever made, but it's still The Last of Us. It was still going to be successful. It's still an amazing achievement from Naughty Dog. Technically, artistically, gameplay-wise, you know, you didn't need to go that hard on it. So, I don't know. Anyway, we're getting up to the music credits, so I can tell we're getting towards the end now. But yeah, I mean, if there is a Last of Us Part 3 on PlayStation 5, I do hope they take Abby's perspective and carry on with it. Like, there are other things they can explore. Like, they introduced rattlers right at the end of the game. There is scope for more things like that in The Last of Us, you know? Different factions get introduced and taken out as necessary. It's, you know, it makes sense. In The Last of Us 2, Neil wanted to push down all of the things in Last of Us 1 and demonstrate his idea revenge is right. Finally, he succeeded to rewrite the game and destroy all of The Last of Us 1's efforts. However, he shows that his idea is shit all over the world. Like, if he was trying to demonstrate his idea that revenge was right, surely Ellie would have gone through with it with Abby at the end. So what was his point? New Game Plus unlocked. Play through the game again with all the upgrades and equipment obtained through a previous playthrough, and you get the nice sunny beach. What I had to do. I did what I had to do. I guess you did. I guess you did. But yeah, there you go. That is the ending of The Last of Us Part 2. The finale. We've completed it. And I mentioned it earlier on today, but there is an update tomorrow that will add new stuff for people to replay this game. Chances are I'm not going to do that. I'm very much a kind of one and done person when it comes to these kind of games. But like I said, New Game Plus, playing through, getting all your upgrades all maxed out, trying to go for a platinum trophy or something like that. That can be quite fun. And, you know, maybe it depends on how I feel about it after a while, but I'm pretty sure I've covered how I feel about this game. Like, it's good. It's not that good, you know? So yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up there. So, thanks for watching the stream, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can follow us at twitch.tv/RiggyRob to get notified when we go live so you don't miss out. So thank you again for ICPAC or ICPAQ for following. Do appreciate that. In fact, we can use our emote, because why not? Why not indeed? Just need to make sure I actually leave some spaces. There we go. One of us. One of us. You can also subscribe to us because we are Twitch affiliates. So Twitch did something recently. They've changed Twitch Prime to Prime Gaming. And I think that's to kind of feature like the fact you get free games on Twitch as part of it. So you can use your Twitch Prime subscription to subscribe to us if you wanted to. And if we hit 25 concurrent Twitch subscribers, I will let Pimmsy do a makeup and drag stream. So she'll dress me all up and we'll do RiggyRob's drag race. So that'll be a fun time if we hit that. Of course, I'll make sure this goes up onto YouTube. So that's at youtube.com/RiggyRobPimsyPlay. You can catch up on all the different games we've played there. So we've played the first Last of Us game on there. We do all sorts of other things like Link to the Past, Bioshock, Control, so on and so forth. We do lots of different games. You can also follow us on Discord and Twitter, and that'll tell you when we go live as well. Discord sends an update to everyone to say, hey, we're live now. Twitter is kind of like a manual thing where I'll be like, hey, I'm going live a bit earlier, a bit later, tell you the game we're playing, things like that. So yeah, every like, every comment, every subscription, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch, it really does help us out. So I am very grateful for everyone who does that, and I appreciate you all spending your time with us. In terms of schedule, we go live on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. So that is at 8 PM UK time on the weekdays. So that is 9 PM European, 3 PM Eastern, 12 PM Pacific, and then 10 AM on Sundays. So that's 11 AM European, 5 AM Eastern, and 2 AM Pacific. So, because we officially finished The Last of Us Part 2, I'm going to have to figure out a new game to play next time we go live. So I'll have a little think about what to do. And yeah, join in for something new on Friday. Alright. Thanks for watching the stream, guys, and I'll see you all next time.